The streak is over at Albany-Saratoga. Friesen continues his winning ways in the Mohawk Valley. We head to Fonda Sportsman Division for this week's White Flag. Time to get up on the wheel. Race Pro Weekly starts now. Hello and welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. When the Empire Super Sprints make their way into the Lebanon Valley Speedway, it seems like two names stand out to who's going to be up towards the front towards the end in Steve Poirier and Chuck Ebing. You'd only have to expect that the battle was going to be them once again. Fire in the sky before the Empire Super Sprint feature event, as leading them down to the green would be Steve Poirier and the Cobra, Chuck Ebing, as they go up into turn number 1 and 2. Ebing would have the advantage on the outside lane, but a caution will come out on the speedway as Patrick Van Yol will be stopped on the outside of the Jersey barrier. Off the restart, it would be the 28 of Steve Fireball Poirier taking the race lead once again in the 25-lap main event. Ebing trying to do everything he can, getting really close to the outside wall that time, trying to run down Poirier. Matt Tanner would be on the move, and then we mentioned Ebing. He would flip the car running second, as that would end his night. A tough night for the Cobra. Off the restart, it would be Poirier again, taking the advantage. They head down the front straightaway as Matt Tanner trying to make a move. Jeff Cook would move into the number 3 spot down the back straightaway, as he would continue to fight through the field, and then Sean Donath would make his way through off of turn number 4 as well. Matt Tanner going to try to go to the inside of him, as they are right in front of Paul Kenny, as Tanner will get by to crack the top 5 here in this feature event before it is all said and done. Kenny would move to the outside of Donath, but it was all behind Steve Poirier as he picks up the win at the Valley of Speed. Fireball, Steve Poirier would grab the win. Jeff Cook would finish in second, Matt Tanner third, Kevin Ward Jr. fourth, and Paul Kenny fifth. Throughout the 2014 season, it has been nothing but Brett Hearn at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway, with promoter Lyle DeVore giving him an incentive to start dead last for some extra money. Would this be the night the streak would be broken? Jeff Trombley and Elmo Reckner would bring the field to the green in the 35-lap modified feature at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway, as it would be Trombley leading in the early going with the 115 of Kenny Tremont on the move as he went underneath the 35 of Mike Perotti. Tremont would get in front of them and move into the number 3 spot, where he would go to work on Elmo Reckner around the outside, and he would move up to spot number 2 fairly early. Then the battle was on between the two veterans of the sport, Jeff Trombley and Kenny Tremont, as they were side by side for the race lead. Tremont almost getting them, but the caution coming out for the 14X of Floyd Billington, as that would slow everybody down. Matt DePue and Ronnie Johnson were on the move towards the front of the field. And Brett Hearn, you're probably wondering why we haven't mentioned him yet. Well, he started last on the field as he took an incentive from track promoter Lyle DeVore. Tremont and Trombley would continue to ride towards the lead as Neil Stratton would slow, bringing out the caution. And then the 3J of Mark Johnson would be on the move as well. He would pull into the top 3, and he would reel in your leaders as we got towards the end of this one. Trombley and Tremont still side by side. Mark Johnson trying to pull up and take the number 2 spot away from the 115 of Tremont as they head down the front stretch. This time as they head down the back straightaway, Tremont would nose out in front and take the lead. And then it would be the 21J and 3J making contact with each other as Trombley tries to avoid the lap car of Brett Haas, and that would send the 3J to the rear in incidental contact. Off the restart, Tremont would get a little too high. That's going to allow Trombley to take the race lead once again, but at the white flag lap, it would be Tremont. Final time through corner number 3 and 4, and at the line, this one comes down to a snapshot as Kenny Tremont grabs the victory.
Boy, I mean, Jeff was just running such a good line on the bottom, and I kept trying him on the top, and I really, at one point, didn't think I had anything for him, and then we caught some bite there off one of the corners, and I was able to, to get by him there a little bit in traffic, and then I tried to give the lead back to him, but thankfully we gathered it up, and were able to hang on for it.
The streak is over as Kenny Tremont picks up the win. Jeff Trombley would finish in second, Elmo Reckner third, Ronnie Johnson fourth, and Mark Kozlowski would finish fifth. With Matt DiLorenzo putting together the Empire State Championship 50 at the Fonda Speedway, a number of drivers would make their way in to take home the $5,000 prize. The last time there was an extra distance event, it was Stuart Friesen that picked up the victory. Would he be primed to make another trip to victory lane? The Empire State Championship 50 at the Fonda Speedway would get started with Ronnie Johnson and Pat Ward up at the front of the field, with Ronnie Johnson taking the advantage as he slides through turn number 3 and 4. He would come around to lead lap number 1 on the event. The promoter was getting in on the fun, as well as the BBL Company's car number 3D, and Matt DiLorenzo was running this event, as Stuart Friesen would make his way to the outside of Pat Ward for the number 2 spot. They're side by side into the middle of the corner, but off the exit, it's going to be Friesen taking the number 2 spot away, and then he would go to work on Ronnie Johnson and make it look easy in that Tad Park's own machine, as he would take the race lead early in this 50-lap event. Few cars on the move as well, that including the Franklin Flyer Billy Decker, as he runs right behind Jeremy Wilder and the 14 of Peter Britton here just 10 laps into the race. Fast forward towards the closing stages, now Decker on the outside lane, and Johnson going to sandwich Mark Keselowski, and that's going to allow Decker to get the momentum as he take the number 2 spot. However, he was a long way behind Stuart Friesen, who made it look like taking candy from a baby at the Fonda Speedway.
I knew we had a good car, and wasn't sure, if somebody might have guessed a little harder on tires or how that goes. And the car seemed like it faded a little bit in the middle of the race, and then just kind of stayed consistent from the middle on out.
Stewie strikes again at the track at Champions. Billy Decker would finish in second, Ronnie Johnson third, the Genoa Giant Pat Ward fourth, and Peter Britton fifth. It's now time for this week's fan poll question, and the question is, as a race fan, do you prefer watching the races from the pits or the stands? Log on to the Race Pro Weekly page on either Facebook or Twitter, and we will read your answers on next week's show. It's now time to take a look at some of the answers from last week's fan poll question, which was, do you like special midweek events at racetracks? Why or why not? Mike Gray says, love them. Gives me the opportunity to go to some other tracks that run on the same night as my regular tracks. Matthew Drown says, absolutely. It's a way to see different drivers you wouldn't normally see on your regular race schedule. With this, the competition level goes up, and it's beneficial for the track, drivers, and fans. William Mizarek says, yes, you get the top drivers going against one another, but they still need to get the show running and over, not drag the night along. And Jamie Nurnberg says, not really, because I work nights during the week, and it's hard to get to the track for their midweek shows.
The action, the battles, the excitement. Get ready for 800 horsepower of ground-shaking racing. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds are coming to your town. Be there to witness the mighty Big Blocks.
The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds invades Albany-Saratoga Speedway to battle for $10,000 to win at Brent Hearn's The Big Show 6. Presented by Recovery Sports Grills, Ferris Mowers, and VP Racing Fuels. Tuesday, July 8th, Albany-Saratoga Speedway, the great race place.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win.
Here with Jeff Trombley at Fonda Speedway. Jeff, how did you get involved with racing?
Probably started way back when I met Bob Hackle at racing go-karts at Dodge City.
Okay.
His son was racing, and I met him there. I ran one of his mini stocks a few times, and then I got to meet Bruce and George Schell from Ridley and Harpingers, and it kind of just snowballed from there.
Now, do you know really how many years you've been racing?
No, not really. We could backtrack. I started racing modifieds in full series like an 84 or 85.
What is the highlight of your career so far?
Probably the thing that I probably remember the most are just my Syracuse runs. Finishing third at Syracuse was a big deal. Frank really enjoyed that. And then just anytime you win.
They're hard to come by.
They're hard to come by, so anytime you can win, you cherish it. I mean, winning here is special. Lebanon Valley, you know, being able to win at Malton and around at different tracks, that means a lot to everybody.
What is your fondest memory, or what do you remember the most about racing with my dad?
Just, to be honest, it was when I first started racing, it was pretty intimidating because racing with your dad, Dave Lape, and Jack Johnson, and you know, when you move from the mini stocks into the modifieds, and you're lining up next to these guys, I mean, their drive, their initiative, and their focus is really what sticks out in my mind. You know, I mean, they were 100% racing, you know, and that really stuck with me. That's probably why I've done it so long.
This Friday night marked the first Friday night fray in the Soul era at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park, with Bobby Varon picking up the final 2 wins on Sunday nights. Would the move to Friday change anything? Bobby veteran Craig Hansen would lead the field to the green in the 35-lap modified feature at the Ridge. Mike Soul going to turn the wick up on the outside, try to go to work on Bobby Vetter for the number 2 spot. It's easy to go from outside to inside here in the early going. Bobby Varon would be on the move as he would pull to the inside lane, as Craig Hansen would still be your race leader in that number 20 seat for the time being. Varon would pull into the number 3 spot, sliding in front of Vetter, and now he would look to go to work on the 7-11 up Mike Soul, as he would push to the inside lane up into turn number 3 and 4 and come off the corner. It would be Bobby Varon taking the number 2 spot away. Varon with one last shot shoots the gap a little bit too far, and that's going to leave Craig Hansen in victory lane. Craig Hansen would grab the victory in the modified feature event. Bobby Varon would finish in spot number 2. Mike Soul 3rd, Josh Hohen Forks 4th, and Bobby Vetter 5th. Other winners on the night in the Pro Stock feature event, it would be Nick Stone. Chad Edwards would grab his first win in the Dodson Construction ride in the Sportsman. Vintage modified winner Daryl Hulbert, and your 4-cylinder feature event would go to Pete Vila. Last weekend at Lebanon Valley, it was one of the old-timers in victory lane as Eddie Marshall picked up his first win of the 2014 season. With the youth movement that has been coming in throughout the past couple of years at the Speedway, was it time for one of the young guns to answer back? Modified feature event would be the nightcap at the Lebanon Valley Speedway, as it would be the Kingfish. Mike King and Bobby Hackle leading the field up into the east end for the first time. Colby Schroeder going to make a bid on the 97 of Hackle off of turn number 4 as 2 of the young guns in the sport here at Lebanon Valley make their way up towards the front, as Colby Schroeder would slide in front of Hackle for the number 2 spot. Meanwhile, the heavy hitters trying to make their way up through the field before a caution came out for Keith Flack, Guy Sheldon, and Lauren Bro. A tough break for Flack after hitting the outside wall in turn 4, as that is going to make him have a tough hit in the points. Off of the restart, it would be Mike King leading it again, but Kyle Sheldon now going to make his presence known as he slip up into the number 3 spot. Schroeder now racing Mike King as the Armory Garage number 55 shuts the door down the back straightaway on Schroeder. The 20 of Hearn going to make his way up as well as he tries to crack into the top 5. Meanwhile, pass for the lead off at turn number 2, as it would be Colby Schroeder taking the race lead. Kyle Sheldon would follow to take spot number 2, then go to work on Schroeder for a bid for the lead off of the inside of turn number 4. Schroeder would pull away as now a side-by-side battle between Sheldon and Kingfish would ensue, but it would all be behind Schroeder as he would pick up the victory.
It's so hard to pass here on the bottom when the track's fast like this, and finally I got a little bit of a line established where I could go in high and cross across the bottom and carry some speed off the turn, and looked like he bobbled a little bit going into the turn and snuck underneath him and hung on for the win there.
Colby Schroeder grabbing his second career win on the high banks. Kyle Sheldon would come home in second. The Jersey Jet Brett Hearn with a great run finishing third. Mike King 4th, and Brian Berger would round out the top 5. 30-lap modified feature at the Utica-Rome Speedway getting started as they made their way up into turn number 1 and 2. And in the early going, it would be Lightning Larry White taking the advantage down the back straightaway as cars scrambled down the back stretch off of the restart on what would be a caution. Cars getting together as Mike Mahaney and Ryan Phelps get into it. on the front straightaway as you see the damage on Ryan Phelps' machine. Some front end damage as you see the wheels turned all the way to the right. Off of the restart, Lightning Larry White with a great run as he pushes to the outside lane in front of teammate Pat Ward as they head down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Stuart Friesen of Westmoreland Golf Club, car number 1 WGC, makes his way into the number 2 spot as he will get ahead of Pat Ward. Behind them, Mike Mahaney and the doctor, Danny Johnson, running for position as they come off of turn number 2. Mahaney would grab that, and now Matt Shepard will be on the move. He'd move into the number 3 spot in the FX Caprera car number 9H machine, as now he would try to set his sights on the race leaders. Race would be continuing as Kenny McGuire and Jason Rude get caught up over the bank in turn number 1, which would shorten the field, and that would put Stuart Friesen on the back bumper of Lightning Larry White as he would slide to the inside off of turn number 2, and Stewie would be your race leader. Final time off of 4, the Canadian sensation does it again. Saturday night feature from the Fonda Speedway would see the 21K of Corey Wilder leading Jeff Rockefeller down the way as Rockefeller would take the lead on the outside on lap number 1. Cars trying to make their way up through the field. You see Ronnie Johnson and Brian Gleason fighting for position off of turn number 2 along with Jeremy Wilder. And then coming off the corner, Stuart Friesen would get in front of Ronnie Johnson as they would try to make their way up through the field. 3-wide battle between Romano, Jeff Trombley, and the Tad Park's own machine of Stuart Friesen. And then it would be Jeremy Wilder trying to slide to the inside, but Josh Hohenforst with a big run as he would take those pack of cars. Bobby Merritt and Stuart Friesen putting on a battle for about the 10th position on the racetrack, as this was all behind Jeff Rockefeller and Justin Bowler, as Rockefeller would come around and pick up his first career win on the Fonda Speedway Oval.
I just can't believe that this car was destroyed last week, and we put it together in 3 days, and I can't believe that this car just a week ago tonight was in pieces, wrecked, and it's back together, and now it's in victory lane, and I can't believe we won.
Jeff Rockefeller would grab the victory. Justin Bowler would finish in the number 2 spot. Mark Keselowski 3rd, Craig Hansen 4th, and Jeremy Wilder 5th. It's now time for this week's Berkshire County Network Driver Spotlight with Glen Ridge Motorsports Park sportsman competitor Kyle Dimitro.
Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Racing Electronics, your #1 source for professional race communications worldwide. Sheldon Oil Services, recycling for your future. Rainmaker Productions, co-promoters of the Lou Lazzaro Memorial Race at Fonda Speedway. And by Pilot Graphic Designs, signs, banners, decals, and so much more. Give Dan a call today at 315-539-3484.
The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds and the ESS Sprint Cars are returning to Rolling Wheels Raceway Park for the Stars and Stripes Summer Super Show, presented by Dig Safely 811. Thursday, July 3rd, kick off your holiday weekend with dirt track racing and a fireworks extravaganza. Kids 17 and under get in free. Get your tickets today at RollingWheelsRaceway.com. It's fast cars and fireworks. Rolling Wheels Raceway Park, Route 5 Elbridge.
There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Sportsman Grid Series feature event as leading him to the flag would be the Blade. Johnny McAuliffe up into turn number 1 and 2. Jeremiah Mudson would turn it up on the outside. However, as he would take the early race leading the event as they came around to complete lap number 1. Cars on the move, of course, Rocky Warner, who was 1-2 in a row in the Grid Series with Ricky Quick on the outside of him. As now McGrew would also be making his way up. That's Derek McGrew, of course, as the caution will come out for Luke Monroe, who would hit the wall up in between turn number 1 and 2. Off the restart, it would be Derek McGrew with the race lead as he would get it, as he would outrace Munson to the line. And now Dave Constantino going to make a move to the inside. But then here comes Rocky Warner. Warner going to take the inside line as Constantino and the 10% of Munson shift up to the high side. That would put him into the number 2 spot. As Constantino would now have to hold back as here comes Chad Edwards making his presence known as well. And they would all have to avoid Johnny Ilanovsky, who was stopped on the back straightaway, which would bring out the final caution of the event. Off the restart, Rocky Warner tried everything he could on the outside of Derek McGrew to try to take the race lead away as they would go through turn number 3 and 4. But it would be McGrew holding on with the momentum on the inside as he had a fast hot rod. The 4 machine of Cody Clark going to go to the inside of the 12J of Jason Grieco to take position. And coming off of turn number 4 for the final time, it would be Derek McGrew picking up the victory. However, at the scales, he would be 7 pounds light, which would give the win to Rocky Warner.
Early on in the race, I kind of thought we had something for everybody. We got to start side by side. I don't know if the tire, we went with a hard tire. I don't know if it was sealed up or what, but just couldn't keep up with Derek. This isn't how we want to win them, Being 5 pounds light didn't cost, obviously cost in the race, but it didn't win in the race.
Rocky Warner would grab his 3rd straight Grit Series Sportsman feature victory. Jeremiah Munson would come home in 2nd. Chad Edwards 3rd, Adam McCullough 4th, and Ricky Quick 5th.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine!
23-lap Bubba Tanner Classic making its way down the front straightaway with the La Rochelle Auto Restoration. Car number 78 of Paul La Rochelle is your race leader. Rob Yetman looking to make his way up through the field along with the 324 of Jason Casey as he would slide into the top 5 in the early going. Chuck Towsley would get out of shape for just a second. He'd shoot up way to the top side. That allowed the 317 of Frank Twing to get by. Top 4 cars would run right together as La Rochelle would be your race leader and Daniel Sanchez joining the fray along with Jason Casey and Rob Yetman. Casey would make a bid to the inside of La Rochelle for the number 1 spot off at turn number 4 at the halfway point, but it would be La Rochelle leading the race. But then on the inside lane, it would be Casey making a bid down the backstretch. He'd take the number 1 spot away with Yetman sliding into spot number 2. 3-wide battle between Sanchez, Robbie Speed, and now Frank Twing up the racetrack. And now the race for the lead would heat up as there would be heavy contact between Rob Yetman and the 324 of Casey, sending Casey up the banking and allowing Robbie Speed to take the number 2 spot away. Yetman would go on as he would win the 2014 Bubba Tanner Classic. Rob Yetman would pick up the win. Robbie Speed would finish in 2nd. Jason Casey 3rd. Frank Twing 4th. And young Daniel Sanchez would round out the top 5. Pure Stock event winners on the night would be Jesse Murphy, Bob Brown, and Doug Olds. $1,000 to win Featherfoot Warrior Sportsman Series event at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway would get started with Scott Duell with the early race lead with Burt Film and Mike Ostrander behind him. Chad Miller would spin, which would collect a number of cars up in between turn number 3 and 4, including defending champion Jeremy Pitts, Elliott Lucier, Olden Dwyer, and Joey Scarborough, who won the first Featherfoot Warrior Series event this season. Off of the restart, Duell will continue to lead the race. John Miller would make a move to get by not 1, not 2, but 3 cars as he made his way to the inside, and then he'd make contact with the 3 of Nick Lucier, sending him up the banking. Meanwhile, Timmy Hartman and Cody Blue were on the move trying to get through traffic in that number 22 machine of Hartman, who was looking for his first win since being back up into the state of New York after his college term got finished. Derek McGrew would be on his way up along with the 27 of Jeremy Pitts as Pitts would go to the inside of Berto for position. Now the battle for the lead would ensue as it would be the 22 of Hartman and the 14 of Scott Duell running side by side for the race lead as Cody Blue and Jeremy Pitts continue to ride behind him. Caution would come out on the speedway for Derek McGrew and Hunter Bates along with Dave Baranowski and Burt Film as Derek McGrew not happy. He was going to go have a word with Hunter Bates. Meanwhile, we go back to the racing action. Final lap around the Albany-Saratoga Speedway Oval. One last shot for Timmy Hartman on the outside lane. Coming off a 3 and 4, Duell bobbles a little bit, and that allows Hartman to get by him as he would pick up the win. Tim Hartman Jr. would grab the victory. Scott Duell 2nd, Mike Ostrander 3rd, Jeremy Pitts 4th, and Cody Blue 5th. Other winners on the night in the limited sportsman, it would be Jack Bublak. Pro Stock winner would be Kim Duell. Josh Coonrad finishes 1st in the Street Stock. And the 4-cylinder winners would be in the single cam, Keith Tessero, and in the dual cam, Steve Ryan. 20-lap Pro Stock feature event at the Fonda Speedway getting started as Gus Hallner would be your race leader in the early going up into turn number 1 and 2. 4 wide at a turn number 3 and 4 as the car's trying to jockey for position in the early going as Mark Sullivan running right in front of Chucky Domblewski for the time being. Now you'll see Sullivan try to go to the outside of Hallner for the race lead up in turn number 2. As the caution come out, you can see a left front flat on the 54M of Jeff McPhail. Off the restart, Dennis Joslin would make a move to the outside lane. Gus Hallner beyond the move, and here comes Pete Broderson and Nick Stone as well, as they are the bread on the sandwich, which is about 3 cars in the middle of the straightaway. As Nick Stone makes his way underneath Gus Hallner for position, Jim Normoyle right there as well, and now Broderson goes to the outside of Cousin Luke for position. Now he'll try to sneak under Dennis Joslin and make his way up towards the front. A.J. Walters would have problems that would bring out the caution, and now a 3-wide battle at the front of the field. Dennis Joslin would take the race lead. Cousin Luke would move into the number 2 spot. Now you have Normoyle sitting in 3rd and Pete Broderson on the move. Broderson would go to the inside of both Normoyle and Horning as they make their way into turn number 3 and 4, and Broderson just with the most momentum as he would stay in front and continue to try to take the race lead away. Broderson would get the momentum that he would need off of turn number 4 that time as they come to the flag stand. He would be your race leader. Cassidy Wilson would be flipped on the back straightaway. That would bring out the caution once again, and off of the restart, Pete Broderson would have the advantage just ahead of Cousin Luke Horning. Meanwhile, the 27 of Stone will slide up in front of Normoyle, put the slide job on him as he take the number 2 spot away, but this was all behind Pete Broderson as he would pick up the win at the Fonda Speedway. Pete Broderson would grab the Pro Stock victory. Nick Stone would finish in 2nd. Cousin Luke Horning 3rd. Dennis Joslin 4th. And Kenny Gates 5th. Other winners on the night would be Rocky Warner in the Sportsman. And the Street Stocks would go to Dave Horning Sr. It's now time to take a look at our weekend battles. At the Accord Speedway, it would be Mike Rickey picking up the win. Rich Rickey would finish in 2nd. Downtown, Jackie Brown 3rd. Jerry Higbee 4th, and Anthony Perrego 5th. Kevin Smith would pick up the win down at the Big Diamond Raceway, with Billy Pouch coming in 2nd. Billy Pouch Jr., that is. Frank Cozy 3rd. Stuart Friesen 4th, and Dwayne Howard 5th. At the D-shaped Dirt Demon, Matt Shepard would grab the win. Good run by Matt Billings once again, coming in 3rd. Lightning Larry White cracking into the top 5 as well. At the Land of Legends, Gary Tompkins with his 2nd win of 2014. Shepard, AJ Slideways, Billy Dunn, and Steve Payne rounded out the top 5 in that one. At the 5 Mile Point Speedway, Tyler Seary picking up his first career victory. Nick Petrolak would finish in 2nd, Jackie Brown 3rd, Anthony Perrego 4th, and Mike Colston 5th. Big upset win at the Fulton Speedway for Tim Courier as he would grab the win. Jimmy Whitco would finish in 2nd, Billy Decker 3rd, Larry White 4th, and Pat Ward 5th. Down at the I-88 Speedway, it would be Mike Mahaney grabbing the win over Mitch Gibbs. Sean Walker, Chad Cook, and Brett Tonkin would round out the rest of the top 5. At the Lernerville Speedway, Dave Murdoch would grab the win. Matt Williamson 2nd, Brian Swartzlander 3rd, Rex King Jr. 4th, and Rex King 5th. Up at the Merrittville Speedway, it would be Matt Williamson grabbing the victory. Ryan Soucy's coming home 2nd, Tim Jones 3rd, Chad Brockman 4th, and Mike Bowman 5th. At the Mohawk International Raceway, the 66X of Gary Terrence would grab the win. Laurent Ladesseur would finish in the number 2 spot, Chris Raby 3rd, Gage Moore in 4th, and Danny O'Brien 5th. Down at New Egypt, he struck again. Billy Pouch with the victory, Sammy Piazza coming home 2nd, Ryan Godown 3rd, Tim Apgar 4th, and John McClellan 5th. At the Ransomville Raceway, Robbie Kroll would grab the win. The Doctor would finish in 2nd. Tommy Flanagan 3rd, Mr. Small Block Pete McNeil 4th, and Randy Chrysler 5th. And finally at the Woodhull Raceway, Mike Bills would grab the victory. Eric Fisher coming home 2nd, Donnie Lawson 3rd, Billy Van Pelt 4th, and Stacy Jackson would round out the top 5. Make sure you check out the Thomas Racing Video booth and their website at www.thomasracingvideos.com. The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate. If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Since the Sportsman Division was created up here in the Northeast for auto racing, many drivers have used it to try to make a name for themselves. For McAuliffe, it's been the same thing as we take the white flag this week.
Johnny picked up a win already this season. How important is it to get a win early in the year?
It was real important because there's a lot of competition this year. These kids keep getting faster and faster, so I was happy to get that win.
When you talk about the kids, who are some of the up-and-comers you see in the Sportsman Division?
Cody Clark, he's one of them. There's a bunch of them. I don't even know some of their names yet.
You've been doing this an awful long time. How many years have you been racing now?
A long time. I've been here at Fonda, I think, since 91, somewhere around there.
What are some of the changes? We talk all the time about technology in the sport. What are some of the changes that have happened that you've seen since 91?
Well, the cars, for one, they keep getting better and better. And, these crate motors now. Everything seems to progress, shocks, transmissions and all that stuff. It keeps getting better and better.
Talking about the crate motor, what do you think the crate motor has done for the sportsman class?
Well, it's brought a lot more racers into this division because it's affordable.
One of the places I know you enjoy running a lot is the mile out at Syracuse during Super Dirt Week. Is it fun to go out there, or is it just one of those places where you just want to bang your head when you get done with?
It's fun, and we were really quick last year. I'd like to get a win. Who knows? I don't know if it's in the cards or not, but I just love that place. The atmosphere, everything.
Talking about Fonda Speedway, you've been here since 91, like you said. What is it about this place that makes this place so special?
It's sort of like Syracuse. The way you drive it. I don't know. Like I said, when I switched from Malta to here, I just fell in love, and that's where I've been ever since.
Do you see a point in time when you're no longer get yourself behind the wheel?
Yes, I do. It gets a little tiring getting the car ready every week. I think it's coming soon.
Who do you need to thank for getting you on the track this season?
Brian, my crew chief, Pat, Troy, and Brad.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week. And with him breaking the streak of the Jersey Jet, Brett Hearn, it will go to the 115 of Kenny Tremont. Tremont is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online, www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So for myself, Matt Knowles, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, Dave Del Sandro, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.